back to the Man Cave Podcast. Again, there is no Dan here with me, but you know what? You got your main man D. All you need is just a little bit of D in your life, and you'll be happy with that. Take that with you, baby. Anyways, hey, Bengals fans, I'm going to start off with you guys. It was the Cowboys versus the Cincinnati Bengals. It was 30-7, and the Cowboys ended up taking that. Are y'all missing Andy Dalton yet? Just be honest with me. He would have been a solid backup. He would have been better than Brandon Allen. He would have been able to move the ball. He would have been able to put up at least more than 7 points in this game. But anyways, there was 3 straight possessions where they had 3 straight fumbles. And on one of them was a Bernard fumble. DeMarcus Lawrence came up and stripped him when he was trying to run through the line. They ended up getting a field goal out of that. Williams, the backup to Bernard, he fumbled it, and Aldon Smith ran it in for a touchdown. And then on 4th and 1, Erickson fumbled it, and Dallas was able to recover it. And then before you knew it, before you blinked, it was 17-0. 17-0. And Andy Dalton came back to his home away from home, and he was dropping dimes to Cooper, he was dropping dimes to Gallup, he was dropping dimes to CeeDee Lamb. He was looking good out there. He was showing them that they should have at least brought him back to back up Joe Burrow. And I mean, I think that he would have been able to have done more with these 5 possessions that coming out in the second half that only resulted in 93 yards completely. You were only able to score a touchdown with Brandon Allen to A.J. Green, where A.J. Green finally showed up for like the first time in 3 or 4 weeks. And yeah, out of those 5 possessions, only one of them resulted in more than 20 yards. And that right there was a turnover on downs. I think that Andy Dalton would have been a solid backup. And I think that he would have been able to have helped Joe Burrow be a really good quarterback. I mean, if you look at it, every quarterback that has developed to be something good has had somebody solid to back them up. I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes. He sat behind Alex Smith for a year. And then 2 years later, he got a ring. I'm not going to say that that's what's going to end up happening with Joe Burrow, but I think that he would have been able to have learned a few things from Dalton, and I think that he would have been able to do it. Or he would have been able to have taken what he gave him and put it out there on the field to look a lot better. But if Dan was here with me right now, or any other Bengals fan was here with me right now, I would have asked them, what do you think that the Bengals need to bring in to next season to make them look better? To me, if you ask me, I think that they need a better O-line. You've drafted Billy Price. You've drafted Michael Jordan. You've drafted somebody, I don't know what his name is, but you drafted somebody last year with your first round pick from Alabama. I think that you need a better O-line coach because he is not developing that talent that you guys got on the offensive line. I think that you need to get somebody for that. I think that you need to get somebody solid who's a veteran to protect that blind side, because that's the side that Joe Burrow ended up getting hurt from. That's where that guy pushed over the lineman into Joe Burrow and rolled up on him and hurt his leg. I also think that you need a shutdown corner to complement Bates and Von Bell. Because if you look, it's these short chunk plays that are hurting that team, that defense. That defense is pretty decent. It's not the greatest, but it is good enough to win games. It's good enough to get you to the playoffs. You also need a decent pass rush to complement Sam Hubbard out there. And I think that once you get a few pieces like that around you and on that defense and on that offensive line, I think that you'll be good to go. Anyways, we're going to move on to the Steelers and the Bills. And the Steelers ended up losing 15-26 to the Bills. And that right there is why I don't think anybody fears the Steelers. This is why I keep saying that the Steelers are not that scary, and even, practice players from the Ravens were able to hang in there with the Steelers because they're one-dimensional. All they do is throw the ball. They've thrown the ball like 150 plus times in the last 3 games because they cannot move the ball at all on the ground. They're averaging, I think, with Connor being back, they averaged not even 2 yards on the ground with him. And I think he ran the ball 15 or 18 times. And I know that defense is missing 2 key parts with Bud Dupree and Devin Bush, but that defense is still out there putting pressure on Josh Allen. He wasn't able to get those big, long, deep passes and hold on to the ball and pat the ball like 6 times and do like he did against the Cowboys last year and look like he seriously paused behind the backfield and just sit there and scan the field. You guys were out there doing your thing, at least on defense. I can give you that. Because at half, you held them to 9 points. It was 7-9. And the only points that the Steelers put up in the first half was a 19-yard pass to Washington. And that was even despite Connor fumbling the ball and having Juju come out here and recover it for him. But the Steelers ended up getting a field goal off of a Teron Johnson pick from Ben for a touchdown. And Buffalo, they missed their extra point. But coming out in the second half, it was the Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs show. And Stephon Diggs caught a touchdown pass, and Gabriel Davis caught a touchdown pass on consecutive back-to-back possessions. But, Ben replied back with a touchdown drive and pass to Juju Smith-Schuster. And then the Steelers, being predictable inside of their predictability, threw a interception with the same play that they did 2 plays before that. Now, you can't do that. You can't. Not against that team. The Bills are probably the second best team in the AFC. You can't do that. This was a statement game that the Bills put up there to say that they are ready for Kansas City. In my personal opinion, even though I'm a Ravens fan, I do think that the Bills, it's going to come down to the Bills and Kansas City for the AFC Championship game. That's just me. You can hold me to it. You can. Now, speaking on me being a Ravens fan, I'm going to move on to the Ravens. This is not a Justin Tucker shirt. This is a Steve McNair jersey. What you know about that? What you know about that? Yeah. So, it was Ravens versus Bills. 47-42. This was a hell of a game. Probably one of the best games in a long time, all season long. Just my opinion. This is the first time that the Browns and the Ravens met up this late in the season, with both having winning records. Now, it was just a back and forth game, all game. Even though a lot of these cornerbacks were causing havoc and forcing fumbles, with Humphrey's out there forcing 2 fumbles and has 8 on the season. What do you know about that, man? He is going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I'm not going to say that he's going to be the Defensive Player of the Year, but he's up there. You need to look at him. He's a beast. But, you know, Baker was on fire all game. I got to give it to him. I said he was going to be a bust, but, you know, he proved me wrong. He was out here throwing dimes. I mean, he overthrew a couple ugly he overthrew a couple receivers on some ugly plays, but, I mean, they all do. They all do. Aaron Rodgers overthrows people. You know, if you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's overthrown people. For instance, you know, our quarterback, Lamar Jackson, he's overthrown people. I mean, you've seen that. He overthrew, I think it was Mark Andrews, and I think he overthrew Willie Snead. But anyways, you know, the Browns were out there. They were being ballsy. They were going for it on 4th down and converting. And I think they converted on 4th down one of 2 or 3 times. And it was an emotional ride the whole time. You know, as soon as the Browns would go down, the Ravens would come back and answer. There was 2 times in this game that the Ravens were up by 14 points, and the Browns just came back on us. After the Tyus Bowser interception, we were up 34-20, and then the Browns came back down. And they had a touchdown pass where Baker, even on the 2-point conversion, completely overthrew Hunt, and Peoples-Jones just came up and dove and caught that. I gotta give it to him. You know, it was crazy. And then, you know, my heart dropped with this when Lamar Jackson didn't come back in, and we had Trace McSorley come in, and, you know, he threw a pass, it got batted down at the line, and then he's sitting there, he's slipping all over the field, and he threw a pass to Marquise Brown. I'm not calling him Hollywood. He has not deserved that at all this year. He has not. And that ball went in his hands, and it was a perfectly led pass, and it just out. He had me. I was just sitting here like this, like, oh my gosh. And then when he went down, because he was slipping all over the field, my heart stopped. It literally stopped. I thought I was about to have a heart attack, or I thought that I was going into cardiac arrest or something. And then Lamar comes back out claiming that he has cramps. The internet saying that he was back there pooping. I don't know which one's which, but they came out. He hits Andrews 2 or 3 times, and then he hits Willie Snead, and then he hits Andrews again. Gets it down there for the same guy that's wearing this number right now to kick a 55-yarder and to put us up 45-42. And then the Browns tried to do some trickery with like 2 seconds left on the clock, and they ended up giving up a safety. Sucks to be you. It really does. It sucks to be you. That's why it was 47-42. And now I'm going to go on to a team that I have been basically, you know, campaigning for, saying that they were better than the Steelers, that have not looked good the last couple weeks. The Raiders versus the Colts. They ended up losing. The Raiders lost 27-44. Before you knew it, Colts were up 10-0 because Jonathan Taylor and Hines were just taking a little bit of daylight and running up the field on the Raiders. The Raiders' defense has looked absolutely atrocious for the last couple weeks. Like, you almost let the Jets beat you. I mean, come on now. And Rivers was out there looking like Rivers of old. when it was him and LaDainian Tomlinson tearing up the AFC West. He was back there throwing dimes to Pittman and to T.Y. Hilton all game long. And Derek Carr was doing his best to work with what he has. And that pressure was getting to him. But he was still able to hit Morrow for a 47-yarder to put them up there. He was still able to hit 2 big plays to Nelson Aguilar to put them up 14-10. But then coming back in the second half, or even before the second half, this right here was the turning point of the game, in my opinion. That beautiful pick that Kenny Moore did, where he jumped like 20 feet in the air to catch that one-handed. That was a beautiful masterpiece. But, you know, that defense was clamping down on the Raiders, and they were only able to get back-to-back field goals when they were in the red zone. And that just shows you the difference between the mentality of the Colts and the mentality of the Raiders, because, you know, they're in the red zone and they go to like wildcat formation, and Hines hands it off to Jonathan Taylor to run in a touchdown right after he already gashed the Raiders defense for a 62-yard touchdown. But to me, this game was completely over. And, you know, right after this possession where, you know, Derek Carr tries to hit Jalen Ricard to try to get the first down, and Ricard just coughs it up, just bobbles it over to Wilson, who runs in a pick six. I mean, I know that they got another touchdown after this, but you have three turnovers, and you're bobbling passes. You're not able to do anything with your screen plays. You're not able to do anything. Your defense is choking out there. Your defense is giving up 212 yards rushing to a Colts team that some people are completely overlooking. And, you know, you completely choked away a playoff spot. I mean, you got the Chiefs in your part of your division. You were able to beat them, and you were able to look good for a couple of weeks there for a while, and people were taking you seriously, and you're just giving up 212 yards rushing. And then your coach is out here firing your defensive coordinator before your game tomorrow. Come on now. Nobody's going to take you seriously. But we're going to move on to another team that people take seriously, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who ended up beating the Vikings 26-14. Dalvin Cook came back. He started looking good. And this game would have been a lot closer if your field goal, or if your kicker was able to hit field goals. I mean, he missed extra points. He was missing field goals. And, you know, your defense is getting pass interference calls on them. Some of them which could have been, you know, questionable. But they're putting you guys to shame with Scoop kicking 18-yard field goals in your face. And they're double dipping with a field goal that they marched down the field on, where you're getting another pass interference called on you, withholding Gronk or whatever. I think it was a nonsense call, but, you know, that's not for me to say. But they're double dipping with that, and then going out there and having Shady McCoy and Jones run all over you guys, and then doing play action fakes and hitting Gronk in the back of the end zone. I mean, that's just that. I mean, the offense was looking decent out there for the Vikings, You know, Cousins was doing what he could, but he's getting pressured by I think it was Bennett and Ndamukong Suh, and he's getting hit and sacked all game long. And you know, they're holding Jefferson to next to nothing out here, and you know, you're getting sacked on back-to-back plays, and your field goal kickers out here again missing more field goals. I mean, that offensive line is absolutely terrible. You're getting sacked and fumbling. I mean, the Vikings are just a joke this year. I'm sorry, but you guys you traded for a player, traded him away to the Ravens. You guys are trading away all your pieces that you have. You don't have Stephon Diggs anymore. Adam Thielen out here, you know, having a couple of big plays, but he's not really doing much. Jefferson isn't really able to do much. Irvin Smith is coming back from, I think it was the COVID reserve list, and he's the only one that's out there really helping put up points. I mean, there's really nothing left to say about you. You guys, I think, are trying to get another quarterback. That's just how it looks to me, trading away all your pieces. But that's just my outlook on things. We will be back. Well, I will be back with your favorite and my favorite segment, the Badass or Bust, along with the Pick 5 for this week and next week. Check you here in a minute.